All right, here we are. I got done putting the nitrous system together on the intake the other day, and I wanted to kind of pressure test it a little bit. Not really pressure test it, but test it, make sure everything's okay, make sure nothing's going to fly off, make sure none of this is going to leak before I installed the intake on the engine, because then I just have to take it back off and do what I have to do. So I rigged something up just to test. This is not how my shit is going to be wired at all. So I've got a wire connecting the grounds, and it's grounded to the battery in the truck. And then I have a wire. I'm only doing one solenoid at a time because I don't want to load this little crappy switch down too hard. I tried doing both of them at the same time with this crappy switch, and it blew it right out. So I don't want to run myself out of switches for stuff like this, so I'm just doing one at a time. So I just rigged up this switch. Let's see if I can see this in here. Rigged up this switch. That's just power in, power out to one solenoid at a time, and I just have it wired to my switch, to my cutoff switch, just temporarily, but it's on there good. Charging the battery on the truck as well. It's been sitting for a little while. It still wasn't dead though. It was all right. Okay, so this is the Y block and the lines that came with the kit in order to hook up one bottle to both sides. I don't think I'm going to do that, or at least I'm not going to at first. I'm going to try to run two bottles, one bottle for each side. If I can keep the pressures the same, which I've got the exact same heater for each bottle. They're hooked up exactly the same. Everything is exactly the same. So I figure if I, run them all the same, that I should be able to make it the same, correct? We'll see how that works out. I'm going to test all that first. And if it doesn't work out the way I want it to, because I don't want more pressure on one side than the other at all. That'll just change. One side of the engine will have one tune, and the other side will have a different tune, so that's not good. That's why you run something like this, but I think I can do it. So this is what I did. I've got an almost empty bottle hooked up to it and the switch. So what I did was I put the carburetor on there just to kind of cap off the top. I guess I could have put the snatch thing on it, or the pull bracket, whatever. So I just put that on there. It was laying right there, and so now it can only come out through the ports, and I just kind of put my hand over the port, not sealing it completely, just to give it a little pressure. It's not going to build up an enormous amount of pressure in there because the cylinder is going to be sucking it down at very high RPM. So it's not like it's going to be building up a shit ton of pressure inside there. So I just just a little bit, just to see if anything out here is going to leak or blow off or anything. See, this bottle's almost empty. It's not even putting out foggy crap anymore. But it all works. Let me put this back here. Everything is working. Feel each individual one, and then unplug it from this one, plug it into this one so I don't blow my switch, and then yeah, feels good. I'd like to test the fuel solenoids too, but that's a different size. That's a 6 instead of, on the solenoids they've got a 4, so it goes from a 6 line to a 4 line after the Y block. The Y block is a 6, and then it goes to a 4 just to the solenoids, because that's kind of like it's a 150 shot, or is it a 300 shot? I don't know how this shit works. I know that right now it's got the jets in it for a 300 shot. So I don't know if how much that is per cylinder. I'm not doing the math. Somebody do the math and let me know. Or even how much it is per side. Because the solenoid is actually, like on a plate system, well, even on this or on a plate, the solenoid pushes out everything it's got and then hits the jet right here, and that's what allows the tune to go through, or whatever you've got to go through. So I'm gonna start out with a 300 shot in these when I first get the truck going. I'm not even gonna use nitrous at first. I'm gonna get this thing hooking on motor, and then once I get that down, then I'll start adding some nitrous to it. But just like the Nova, I got another plate. So the plate, I think I'll have maybe a 150 shot on it. So if it's something that I really just need to be in control of it instead of being on the controller, I'll have that. I can also change the jets out in that. I can make that up to a 500 shot. This plate's good for up to 650. So I can put a 300 shot in this plate and just use the plate on a button, or I can use these on the controller. So this will be kind of like free will nitrous. This will be controlled. So I have an option. It's all, no prep is all about power management and getting your shit to hook. So if I'm on a really shitty surface, I can make this my main and just use it. I just won't have anything extra. So that's what I'm doing today. Just testing this out, making sure I don't need to do anything else to it. And then I can bolt the intake on the engine and it'll be ready to go in. Hopefully, today is Thursday, hopefully Saturday, I can get the motor and transmission in. And then who knows, sometime next week I'll be able to put everything together on it and get it running. Certainly next weekend I'll be able to. But so that's where I'm at. That's what's going on. I thought it was pretty cool, and when I was doing it, I wasn't gonna film it. I was just gonna do this so I know if I can slap the intake on or not. But then when I was doing it, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna share it and kill this bottle. The bottle is really cold, so I don't know why it's not throwing a fog out. I've got a full bottle, but I don't want to waste anything in it, so I just needed to test this. So I am assured that it's not leaking, that everything is good on it, because I had to angle these. I made a mistake going 90 degree. I should have went annular so that these would be up like this and shooting straight down and wouldn't be in the way of anything. But I fought to keep it off of my valve covers and out of the carburetor. Let me turn this off and purge it. Alright. Get it unhooked. And then show you what I mean by how close this is. I think what I came to realize was that 90 degree or soft plume is good for small block, or big block I mean. It's good for big block Chevy or Ford, whatever. Maybe even small block Ford, I don't know. But for small block Chevy, I think annular is really the way to go, in my experiences. It would have been a whole lot easier for me if I would have went annular. Alright, so see how tight that is. Look at that. That is really tight. So I had to angle them up a little more than when I first put them in. I was thinking about valve cover clearance, but I've seen so many kits that were on there and just fine with no clearance issues. So I thought, all right, I'm going to put these in there so that they will shoot straight down into the head, straight to the back of the head. Well, with that, the nozzle was hitting the valve cover down here. So we filled the holes and I re-drilled them a 1/4 of an inch higher with a little tighter angle. That still, then the cap was hitting. It wasn't the lines. The cap was hitting. So I just re-tapped them at an even higher angle. The same hole, the same tap. I re-tapped it at a higher angle and they went in tight and it worked. So it is right there and I can move them. They'll still move and move on the wires and lean out and in, but it is just to where it's not going to hit anything. So it worked out. So I'm happy. I'm going to bolt the intake down and get it ready to go in Saturday. I got to get the converter on the transmission, get the transmission bolted to it, because we're putting them both in at the same time. So there's no issues trying to get to them top bolts on an S10. I had to cut out part of this to get, when I was taking the old engine out, I couldn't get to the top bolts. So I cut out this stuff right here and then covered it up, made it a little bigger. Now I got another 1.5 inches of clearance. So that's good. Yeah, I don't know what else there is. Still having issues with the brakes. So at first we got the Motion Raceworks S10 brake kit and the master cylinder was leaking. This one's not. So I called Strange and they said, sorry dude, we don't know what to tell you. We don't have any more, we don't have any parts or anything. So they just said, sorry. So I bought a Willwood, and that sucker, man, that is a much nicer unit. Comes with everything you need to bench bleed it, everything. Tubes, fittings, everything. And got that on there and we're having the same problem. It's not building up pressure. We're bleeding them. We've bled them so much we got no leaks anywhere. And I called Willwood and they're thinking maybe it's not going in far enough. So I even put another one on here. I bought another one and put it on there. So we still need to work on that. So that we got the new one on there, we haven't really bled it yet. So we're gonna do that and see what we get and make some adjustments to it. Got to get them brakes working because it's almost time to test this thing. We ain't got long.